What is up, Lions fans? Welcome back to another news video. We already have a couple of stories for you guys that I think you will enjoy. I'm here with my co-host, Bob. He's not really in any of the show. He's just here for the beginning. I'm not sure why he's here, but that doesn't matter. We have a couple of cool stories for you guys today. We're talking about Tua, we're talking about Super Bowl odds, and we're also going to be talking about Lions trading back. So let's throw it over to Bob. Bob, how you feeling? I'm feeling good. Back to you, Bobby. Kind of weird. Not gonna lie, but hey, your beard looking good. You're looking good, my boy. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get it started. A few stories. We have one main story, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to kick that off with that story. You know what? Let's kick it off with that story. That is the biggest story that I have today, and it's not really like something that we already know. It's kind of like it's a report. Let me explain it. Tua Tagovailoa and the Detroit Lions have conducted an online interview very recently. Why online? Well, because we know no one can go out, no one can get close to each other or anything like that. We know what's going on, right? So they conducted an online interview, and that's definitely going out of your way to make that happen with Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I get knowing every single prospect, but keep in mind this: no team past the third pick in the draft has even interviewed Chase Young. Why? Because they don't think he's even going to last there. No matter who picks him, he's not getting out of the top three. The Detroit Lions have interviewed Tua Tagovailoa, and we know that they sit at the number 3 spot in the draft. Now, what does this mean, right? What is the thought here? Because before this report came out, we heard the reports that Detroit Lions have talked to other teams about potentially trading down, and their response has been receptive, right? Those teams are like, okay, maybe I'm open to new ideas, right? I'm thinking about it. So the Detroit Lions have been talking about trading down, and then all of a sudden we get hit with, the Lions had an interview with Tua Tagovailoa. And that changes a lot of things. Now, one, the most obvious reason could be they're targeting Tua. If they wanted to go get Tua, they're at 3. They pretty much can do it without any problems. The only problem they would have is if the Redskins traded out to a team that wanted the quarterback because they got a huge return and they were willing to trade out. However, I don't know if that's going to be the case because the Redskins, where they sit right now, they could take Chase Young or Isaiah Simmons without moving. So they probably will just take one of those guys. And, that's kind of where they're sitting. And the Lions at number 3, if they don't want to trade back, if they don't find a great offer like that, like they've asked for offers, then they may just take Tua, right? That could happen. Now, I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. I don't buy that. I just don't see it happening. Not this season. Now, would I be shocked if the Detroit Lions, next year, if they drafted a quarterback this year and they got one late and he's like, this ain't our guy. This guy is just not going to be our future quarterback. Would I be shocked if next year they went after a high quarterback? No, because you know what? Next year is going to bring a lot of new things in. Like when the Detroit Lions right now, Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia, I truly believe if they have a very awful season, they will not be head coaches or GMs here next season. So I don't think that they'll go quarterback this year because they need to save their job first. Now, if they save their job, could they go quarterback next year? I could see it. If they save their job, could they go quarterback the year after that, or the new coaches? Definitely see new coaches and GMs for the Detroit Lions if they came in after this season, because Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were fired. I can see them going after a quarterback kind of just to restart at that point. But I think for Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, depending on how it plays out this season, they may say that, okay, Matthew Stafford played well enough that we don't have to go find another one. Or they may say, okay, we may need to go find another quarterback, and that's going to be our year. I don't see it happening this year. I think they will go after a quarterback, and you never know, right? You just never know when quarterbacks are going to come out and come play well. So I think the Lions will go later. I just don't see it being Tua. However, I think this is a smokescreen for the Detroit Lions. I know we talk about smokescreens a lot, and it could be Lions are just interested in Tua. I don't know. I'm just saying I think this could be a smokescreen. To hear this just about right after we heard about their talk about trading down makes it sound to me like now they're trying to get the point out there that, hey, they're interested in Tua Tagovailoa. So those teams that we're talking about with trading back, keep in mind, we're not just trading back to trade back. We may take Tua. So you might want to give us something good. So the Detroit Lions, could try to be beefing up what they get in return. That could definitely be happening. I think that would be a good way to go about a smokescreen. Having an interview with him just makes a lot of sense, right? Whether you're going to take him or not, it just makes sense to kind of, do it. That way other teams understand that, oh snap, they interviewed him, right? Like the Chase Young thing. Owen Pass 3 has interviewed him because they know he's not going to be there anyways. So if the Lions are interviewing, if they didn't even have an interview with Tua before, like, why would we even be worried they're going to take him? They haven't even reached out to him. And now they have, maybe, other teams are going to try to give up more. So that leads me to my next point. How much would the Detroit Lions give up in this draft? How far are the Lions willing to move back in this year's draft? That is a very good question. I thought this would be a great question to talk about because we know last video we talked about, the Saints trade back. If the Lions move back to 24, which is a long way. 24 from 3 to 24 is 21 spots. A lot of players are going to go in that range. It really depends on what you're going after, obviously. And you don't know who's going to be available where, but we can predict where most players are probably going to fall, what range. But at that point, it's kind of going with the safe side. I think Bob Quinn may go with the safe side here. not going too far back where I'm at that position where I'm going to have to just hope a guy falls to us, or I'm going to have to trade back up. More of a spot where, okay, I'm comfortable he's going to be here. Maybe I could have moved back further, but I didn't want to risk that. Depends who they're going after. Now, if they're going after, the top, I'd say the top 3 most talented players not named quarterbacks here. And I know Chase Young is one of those. I'm not including him because we're trading back. We're not going to get him anyways. But I'm thinking Isaiah Simmons, Jeffrey Okudah, Derek Brown. Maybe Kinlaw, probably just those 3, though. If you're talking about those 3 and the Lions want to acquire those 3, probably the latest they can move back is 6. Now, I think they'll be safe by having an option maybe between Derek Brown and Jeffrey Okudah. Maybe even Isaiah Simmons if somehow, the Giants pass on him. They go offensive lineman. But I think that's kind of where you have to go if you're trying to be safe. Because once you get a little bit further than that, now you're talking about teams that actually need those positions that are moving in front of you. You trade back to 6. Redskins need a different player than the Giants do. So now you're talking about 2 teams that probably won't take a quarterback, that we don't think will. So that leaves you with one of those 3 players. So I think 6 is the safest spot to go if you want to get one of those guys. If you want to make sure you get one, 6 is safe. And I think, 7 is kind of pushing it, because then the Carolina Panthers are definitely a team that I could see looking to go get a player. And the Panthers definitely need a cornerback too, so they could be going to take Jeffrey Okudah. So if that's who you're going after, probably don't want to move back that far. Now, if the Lions are willing to move on those guys, and they're willing to miss on those guys, but they want Javon Kinlaw, all right, they want a guy like Christian Fulton maybe Epinesa. Maybe 24 is where we're talking. I'm still saying maybe like 19 is probably the edge of that, though, because I do see Fulton going early 20s. All right, I see a guy like Javon Kinlaw possibly going in the teens, maybe 14. Could go a lot earlier than that. He could be a top 10 pick. It wouldn't shock me. So Kinlaw's one of those guys that if you want Kinlaw for sure, 6 maybe once again that breaking point, right? You may not be able to move past number 6 because you don't want to lose him. And then a guy like AJ Epinesa, he'd probably fall a little bit more. But again, I would say early 20s is probably when he's going to go. So I think it really depends on what you want. But if you want some of that top tier talent, you want to make sure you get to Simmons. If you want to make sure you get Simmons, you can't move. You can't move if you want to make sure you get Simmons, because I don't think if Simmons goes before. But if he does, then you got Chase Young. You can't move them. But if you are in that mindset that, hey, we have to trade back, we still want to acquire top talent, I think number 6 is the furthest you can move back and still be comfortable that you made the right decision. Now, let's talk about the final thing. And this is something I just threw in there because I thought it was interesting. Detroit Lions Super Bowl odds. I know everybody's excited. Hey, what's our Super Bowl odds? I know I've had tons of questions like that, right? No, I haven't had any questions like that. But I thought I'd bring it up. Detroit Lions Super Bowl odds right now for 2020, which is dumb because, hey, we haven't even done the draft yet. So how are you going to say this? We are 70 to 1. Okay, I mean, hey, I love an underdog story. That means we have a 0.0141 chance to win. So there's a chance, y'all. There's the chance that we can definitely go win the Super Bowl. They're not counting us out yet. We fight. Who knows, y'all? Who knows? Actually, I'd be more interested on what the odds are for Matthew Stafford to win MVP. You can definitely see that happening. And I've talked about how it could happen before. I think this is not very hard for Matthew Stafford to go win an MVP. It just means team success. I may do a video on that later. Anyways, let me know your thoughts, comments below on all this. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.